a little bit more delicious, one sip at a time. And I'm here talking with Kaitlyn Gipple, and she's with Holiday Brewery, and they have delicious allergy-free beers. And I did say allergy-free. I used to say gluten-free, but I've been corrected several times. But we've had a great time tasting some of their IPAs a couple of months ago. Then they helped me with the Charlie Bamforth presentation where we were talking about beer health. And so we've kind of collaborated on an upcoming event that we've got for the craft beer professionals, excuse me, craft beer professionals event. And we're going to be talking about influencers and breweries and kind of how to create a win-win between those. And so Kaitlyn and I were talking, and I just wanted to see if everybody else wanted to jump in on the conversation. And if you've got a question or two, I hope you'll just pop it in either in the chat. This is real informal, but if you've got a brewery and you've got questions on how to work with influencers, one of us will try and answer it. Or if you're an influencer and you want to understand what's important to breweries, Kaitlyn's the one. So, Kaitlyn, you've got some great stories to tell me on how influencers have helped Holiday
Yeah.
get the word out and sell some beers. Would you share some of that with me?
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Happy to be here, and we're looking forward to our presentation coming up here. So as Doug mentioned, I'm with Holiday Brewing, and I handle all of our marketing. And what that means, what that looks like is, working with influencers is a big part of that. And so we really have started focusing on how we can partner with influencers, bloggers, YouTubers, to really make a valuable partnership for both us at Holiday and for them. So what we've been doing lately is holding virtual events with some of our favorite influencers. Doug was a part of it last month, and we just like to introduce them to new beers we have coming out, or share news we have with them. And that has been great for us because we send them the beer, they get to try it, and then they join us and get to ask questions. They get to hear from our founder of the brewery. They get to hear from our brewer or head brewer. So that's been great. And that's been a huge thing for us this year. I think COVID has kind of forced us to go the virtual route with connecting with influencers. And we've actually found it to be so much more valuable than, shooting emails back and forth. So just getting to see them on screen and talk through the beers and what makes Holiday different has been so great. And so we try to continually look for influencers that fit what we're looking for. And like Doug mentioned, we want it to be a win-win partnership. So just some examples of how Holiday has, kind of reciprocated to these influencers. We had a blogger last month that released a new book, and we'd been working with her for months. So I reached out to her and said, hey, congratulations, this is big. What can we do to support you? Can we do a giveaway on social media and, promote your book and do a book and beer giveaway? So we did that, and that went over really well. We, try as much as we can to also support our influencers because they do so much for us at the brewery. So if we try to just kind of stay in the know with what they've got going on and see how we can support them.
So you guys have helped me because when I was working on this live stream with Charlie Bamforth, it was all on beer and health. And when Charlie and I were starting out in the discussion, Charlie kept mentioning some things about gluten and gluten-free. Well, I knew Sierra Nevada didn't have any that I'm aware of anyway. And I thought, well, but I know who does. And so it was great to get Alan on screen to talk about allergy-free beers.
Right. Yes, that we will talk about that all day long. So thanks for thinking of us.
Well, it's a non-challenging topic. So I think that's really neat. So it might be interesting. We got a pretty good group in our audience there. What do you think? Anybody? We were talking about virtual tastings. And you'd be interested in just kind of, if you'd pop in the chat, what you think about virtual tastings right now. Breweries have certainly done a lot of those maybe a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we've certainly seen kind of a drop off. So if you have an opinion on virtual tastings, I'd love for you to pop it in there. Now, Kaitlyn, one of the other things that we were talking about was what's a win from a brewery point of view? When an influencer comes to you and wants to work with you on a project, and then you review the success or the lack thereof, what do you look for?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for us that we found success with influencers are the ones that have either already tried our beers or they enjoy similar products. I think that's so big for us because we are much different than your typical craft beer because, we brew our beer without gluten. We do as best we can to avoid any cross contamination. So we're looking for specific influencers that are interested in health and wellness or gluten-free. And so I think for us, if they've been posting and they've been tagging us and we already have that name recognition, it makes total sense for us to partner with them because they're already a brand ambassador. And if there's somebody who hasn't tried our beer, that's okay. We're not going to turn them away. We'll send them the beer. We'll say, hey, yeah, this seems like it could be a good fit. We want you to try the beer. We want to get your thoughts. Because the last thing we want to do is work with somebody who's not passionate about our brand. So that's what we really look for is, do they have an audience that's interested in gluten-free, that's interested in gluten-free alcohol? Does their audience live in a territory that we distribute? So those are kind of the things that we look for.
So Michael put there in the chat on the virtual events, he said they're certainly not as much fun as in person, and I'd certainly agree, and the sourcing of the beers might be a challenge. But you and I were talking about an idea that actually I was given by Pete Slothberg, and Pete suggested we ought to add some tension. So we were talking about what if we had, kind of some relatively famous or actual famous brewers, and we had a gluten-free tasting, but it would be comparing. Could you pick out the gluten-free beer? They would all be, hidden, the labels, so when they tasted them, could they pick it out? Because I know, for example, yours is really good, but I think those can be more fun than just a virtual tasting, don't you?
I think so. I think there has to be something that goes above and beyond just tasting the beer. If it's a challenge or if we're doing a blind taste testing, or if there's something tangible that they can learn about the beer. Like, for example, someone who's interested in starting to homebrew. I think that there just needs to be something that goes above and beyond a tasting event. And I think we were able to kind of get away with that at the beginning of COVID is, we're throwing this tasting event and, virtual events were new to everybody. So everybody was logging in and checking it out to see what it was all about. And now I think just with the Zoom fatigue, people want some valuable takeaway from what they're participating in.
Yeah, Michael says he agrees there in the chat, and I think I'm certainly on that same page. Well, as we kind of wrap things up, I think, Kaitlyn, what do you think, if you were to bottom line it, and you were in an elevator, everybody was a marathon, but, you ended up in an elevator and somebody says, what do you do? And you said, well, I'm the marketing guru at Holidaily, and they go, oh, I'm an influencer. I'd love to work with you. What would you, as a brewery, when you have a conversation from you, what would you hope you could get out of them? Just kind of bottom line it. What's a win-win for at least you from your point of view?
Yeah. So I think my first question to them would be, that's awesome. What do you write about? What do you blog about? What do you post about? What are you interested in? And if it is in line with what we do at the brewery, and if their goal is to, create exposure and to really create an experience for their audience that's unique, I would say, let's try it out. Let's see how this goes.
But you're looking for them to bring something to the party. They've either got to bring, a huge audience, or they've got to bring some special talent or skills, or it's got to go well and above a tasting or just a simple article. You've you're looking for something significant in the relationship.
Yeah, I think either I would definitely take a look at their page and see what they're interested in, what they post about. But yeah, I would want to know, is your specialty doing really funny videos, which is like one of our bloggers that we work with. His name is Phil Hates Gluten, and his videos are just hysterical. And it really goes in line with the fun spirit of our brand.
Did you say Phil hates gluten?
Yeah. Go check him out if you haven't been to his page. He's hysterical.
Gourmet brewing sounds so boring compared to that.
I know, right? We need some rebranding over here, maybe Holidaily too. But yeah, I think if, whatever their specialty is what I would want to know and then check out. So if they're really into video and they can do a really nice video for us, or, maybe they have a smaller following, but their followers are all very into gluten-free. And so that makes sense for us. So it's not necessarily looking at the numbers. It's more so looking at the demographics of their audience, and the psychographics of their audience as much as we can.
Okay. And I would say from an influencer point of view, and it kind of depends on where you are, I think, in your influencer journey, but we're looking for, for example, I'm looking for expertise, because when I do an event on beer and nutrition, I certainly don't know anything about allergy-free beers, but you guys were a huge help and made, that event and future events on nutrition much more in depth. So you plugged a important hole, and it almost sounds like it's got to be that on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what has made the most successful partnerships for us is, and I want to hear exactly what you said. What can Holidaily do for you as an influencer that would help you as well? Because maybe it's something that we can't do, but if it is something we can do, and then if there's something that makes sense for you to help us with, that's what I would consider a win-win. So it's good just to have those conversations at the beginning.
All right. So Kaitlyn and I will be in the craft beer professionals. I'm determined to call it brewers. Craft Beer Professionals spring event in April. And we're very interested in your input because we want to address the most important questions. But we're going to be talking, it's called Turn Up the Volume, working with influencers from a brewery and influencer point of view. I know it's going to be a great event because Kaitlyn really understands the marketing side of this. And it'll just be a lot of fun. So I hope you'll see us then. I'd look forward to hearing your questions and any comments as we prepare. And Kaitlyn, I'll let you get to your lunch because I think it's approaching lunchtime where you are.
I think it is. Yeah. Maybe
all right.
soon. I don't know. Who knows? Thanks,
everybody. Thanks for joining. I know this was rather impromptu, but I think I love doing these just little sneak peeks on things that are coming up. And for those that are interested, tomorrow, tomorrow I'm going to do an opening of the Beer Maker. So hopefully everybody will get to see that. That'll be kind of impromptu. And then on Thursday, we're going to brew a Doppelbock with Beer Maker's CEO, Aaron Walls. And we're going to brew it live. I'll have all my cameras here in the studio, and you'll you'll see how it's done or what kind of mess it makes. I hope it doesn't make too big a mess. But anyway, that'll be fun. So maybe see you again tomorrow on the box opening and then on Thursday. So Kaitlyn, thank you. Go grab some lunch. Everybody else, have a great day and thanks for joining.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.